Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you very much for joining us on the Oz Cro Soccer Show podcast. It's episode 14 and it is going to be a corker of an episode tonight. A big one. It always is, and we've got so much news to get through. My name is Tonči Prusat and I'll be with you for the next hour and a half. And joining me each week, as he does, is Josip Šimunić. Josip, how are you? And welcome to the Oz Cro Soccer Show.
Thanks, Tonči. Thanks, listeners and viewers. And it's great to be with you once again. I've returned to the Gold Coast, mate. So I've done the whirlwind East Coast tour and come back in to set our sights for term 2 for young Benjamin.
Excellent. Great to hear, mate. Great to hear. It's a big show tonight. A big shout out to our business advertiser, our sponsor tonight, Your Business Insurance, Mio Chicha, for all your personal and business insurance needs. Call up Mio on 1300 767 456. Now, before we start talking about tonight's show and what a big show it's going to be, mate, congratulations are in order. 25 anniversary, you and the lovely Rose. What an achievement. What a great achievement. Congratulations to you both. Probably congratulations more to her for putting up with you for 25 years. But all jokes aside, mate, what is your secret to a successful and long and happy marriage?
Look, thanks, Tonč. It's been overwhelming, the messages from family and friends we've received today. Look, secret to success or to a happy marriage, look, mate, just be prepared to do the work. It doesn't matter who's doing it as long as someone's doing it. There's no time to sit there and deliberate a finger point saying, I did it last night, I washed the dishes, I put this away, I put that away. Just get the job done, right? Just respect each other's inputs and outputs and we'll get it done together.
Absolutely. Reminding me, I forgot to load the dishwasher.
But you do that every night.
I'm only joking.
Mimi sent me a message. You do that all the time.
Yeah, that's what the kids are there for. Now the kids are a little bit older and they can sort of, Dad's going off to work. You guys do the dishes. No, that's awesome. That is fantastic news and a big shout out to the Šimunić clan there. Always smiling, always happy.
Thanks,
so on behalf of all our viewers, all of our listeners, a very big congratulations to you, mate. Hey, tell us what's going on in tonight's show, a huge show.
Look, it's a huge show, and I really look forward to this conversation, to have an opportunity to catch up with a couple of people from Melbourne Knights. We get an opportunity to speak to one of the committee members in Steve VUKASOVIC from the junior committee, and also with the top of the tree, young PAVE JUSUP. We'll have a chat to them about what's going on at Melbourne Knights, some of the expectations after the visit from Simo. What do they want to see, and how the things are going to go about that. And we might even try and sneak in a question or two from young PAVE about the B League.
Yeah, actually, that'd be really interesting. Yeah, the National Second Division, there's all been talk about that starting possibly next year. Love to find out more details. But FFA Cup, or the Australia Cup as it is called now, really getting into full gear. There's games being played all around Australia. A lot of our Croatian clubs are doing well, are getting to the later stages. And speaking of the Melbourne Knights, a big game for them tomorrow night at Knights Stadium. Midweek football, we love midweek football, don't we? They've got a big game coming up against, I think it's Bulleen, if I'm not mistaken.
It is against Bulleen, mate. I was at training tonight for Ben, and someone said to me, you're getting up for the big game tomorrow. And I said, I don't have to get up. The big game's on tomorrow at 7:30 at Knights Stadium.
Exactly right. And speaking of the big game, we will be dissecting that. We will be looking at the big Hajduk versus Dinamo game in Croatia. As we know, they don't have the grand finals, but this is as close as you come to a grand final. It's basically the almost the season decider. So we'll be talking about that a little later on.
Huge. Yeah.
There's rumours of plenty about Zrinski Mostar's coach possibly going to Dinamo Zagreb, and for very good reason. They have secured the BiH Premiership. That is great news. We'll be looking at that as well. So heaps of news, lots to get through tonight. Folks, don't go away. We're going to be back straight away with the news desk after this, and you are tuning into the Oz Cro Soccer Show.
Are you one of those people that just pays their business insurance each year? Insurance is the last thing we want to worry about when running our business day to day, unless there is a claim that needs to be made, right? And once we have our insurance in place, we just keep renewing it. We just find it too hard to shop around. Does that sound like you? Well, at Your Business Insurance, we could save you money and get you a better deal. We'll review your current insurance and determine if you're getting the most favourable offers from the insurance market. Call Your Business Insurance on 1300 767 456.
Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's episode 14, and Josip, let's get straight to it. The news desk, heaps of news happening, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, mate. And as we mentioned, tomorrow night, in all seriousness, a fantastic challenge there for Melbourne Knights to further to take on a further position in the Australia Cup. They're facing Bulleen Lions at home. Everyone possible in and around the western suburbs, even from Geelong. 7:30 kickoff. It's school holidays. No reason for the kids to be in bed early. Get down there. The food's great. The atmosphere is even better. 7:30 kickoff. Come on, Croatia. That's a big game for them, coming off the back of a 3-0 win against Eastern Lions. So they'll be full of confidence, and they'll propel themselves also. As a result, they've propelled themselves up to 6th spot on the ladder. Mm-hmm. So there's plenty to be excited about, ladies and gentlemen. Get out there and support the Knights tomorrow night. Speaking of the Knights, Tonch, the women's team have got underway with a couple of losses. Unfortunately, they went down 2-0 to Boroondara on the weekend. But they get a chance now to set their sights at Preston Lions at the old BT Connor Reserve. And who didn't love a trip down to BT Connor Reserve back in the day, Tonch?
Absolutely. And nowadays, BT Connor Reserve is looking different to what it once upon a time used to. They've undergone a multi-million-dollar facelift there. I know a few weeks back, the Preston Lions. We had the Preston Lions. David Svetkovsky, president of the Preston Lions, he was on the Football Out West show, the sister program of our program here. Yep. And he did mention, I think it was prior to the round one clash, they were expecting something like 500 to 700 fans just to their women's game, women's team. So it'd be great to see a lot of Knights fans from around the northern suburbs pop into BT Connor Reserve this Sunday. Exactly. And look, the Knights women, they are the highest ranked Croatian community-backed women's club in Victoria at the moment in VPLW. Yep. North Geelong women's have been promoted to State League Division 1, so they'll be there with St Albans Saints as well, St Albans Dinamo.
St Albans actually ended up in 2, mate. I saw
in 2, are they? Is that the latest
fixtures,
news?
Yeah,
there you go. There you go. So I think the official fixtures have just been released in the last couple of days, actually.
Yeah, I saw them yesterday, so they were still sitting at Division 2.
Yeah, there you go. Rightio. So, it's great to see the Knights women, they're in VPLW, but they are struggling at the moment. 2 losses from 2 games, so hopefully their form can change around, but it's a tough one. Preston have won 2 from 2, and they've got a goal difference of something like 12-0 against. So a tough one.
Traditional strong performers, the Lions women's team in that league. So they do have a task up ahead of them, but there's no better way to find form than to play the best, right? So you got to get up there and you got to do the job.
Exactly. Now, coming back to the NPL men's competition, St Albans and Dandenong.
St Albans in a dour game against Green Gully, 1-1. I watched this probably from about the 20th minute on, and it just seemed like a constant arm wrestle all game long. I don't think there was enough initiative from either team to really want to take those risks. I think when they sort of settled in and thought, it's like they almost at the start of the game said, 1-1 suits us both, let's just move on from here. But that's the way it looked from the outside looking in anyway. But I know it's not like that on the pitch. So they take a point and they sit just behind Melbourne Knights on 7th position on the ladder. So just stabilising a little bit there, and they've got themselves an opportunity this weekend. So let's see what they can do and if they can get themselves a win. The St Albans women's team have kicking off their campaign in State League 2 against Hoppers Crossing. So that was the latest news that I was referring to.
Excellent. There you go. Yeah. And moving to NPL 1 or NPL 2, sorry.
NPL 2, mate. North Geelong had another massive win. I think Caleb Hattrick's we're going to call Caleb Nikolic Caleb Hattrick now, because every week he comes out and scores 3 goals. Yeah. he's definitely found some rich vein of form, and it's pushing the North team along. So they took out a 5-0 win over Brunswick after a cagey first half in warm conditions, mind you. It was about 26, 27 degrees at kickoff. So I got the chance to get out there to Brunswick. So this week, though, they're at home to Manningham, who we know is not the greatest performers at the moment. They have found a little bit of form, but nothing to be sort of for North Geelong to be too concerned about. And I think they'll make it 3 from 3 from this one, mate. And that might propel them above Paco because they currently sit third on the ladder.
But 8 goals from Caleb Mikulic in 5 games. He has been a real boom for North Geelong. And he's just providing a real avenue for goals down there. As you said, 2 hat-tricks in 2 games. He's a real target man. But then when you've got players like Ryan Opperman, Luka Jurkovic, what's his name? Omar, who's also scoring goals. Mate, you've got all these different avenues to goal. So North Geelong Warriors are looking really, really good at the moment.
Yeah, that's look. I know I've stressed this point before, but for the first time, I got to see Noah Skorkle play first team football when it matters for 3 points. I've seen him played in tournament level and whatnot, and I was just blown away. Fantastic that a young 16-year-old can come on the park and be so influential in the game full of men, and just showing his credentials and where he can take his game. So well done, Noah.
They're moving along to the women's team, who are going to make history on Sunday.
Kicking off their campaign, State League 1 against La Trobe Uni. So 3 p.m. at Alco Park on Sunday. I'm sure the faithful will come out and give them great support like they always do. So we move along to Strathmore, over to the northern suburbs, mate. Unfortunately, Split Shunny haven't got themselves the win that they're much yearning for. 2-0 loss to Yarraville. Now, Yarraville is one of those customers that you come up against at their ground where it's quite inhospitable, mate. So, look, 2-0. Don't be too dour about that, Split Shunny. Lift your heads up high and march on to the next challenge against Sydenham Park. Sydenham Park haven't been faring too well themselves. They're on 3 points. Strathmore on the bottom with 1 point. So there's a chance there, I think, this week, Taunch, that the Split Shunny can come up and get their first win of the season, mate.
Yeah, hopefully so. Sydenham Park, they were one of the front runners in that competition, or expected to be one of the front runners. Have really struggled. 1 win and 4 losses, as we can see, third last at the moment. So Strathmore have had some close games against some tough opposition. So here's a great opportunity to maybe steal their first win of the season.
That's a good point. You look at the top 2 there, Caroline Springs and Essendon Royals. The Split Boys, they led against both at some point during their games, and came away from Caroline Springs with a gut-wrenching loss, came away from Essendon Royals with a 2-2 draw. This is a great chance for them, I think, and I don't think that the position on the ladder determines how they're going about their business.
Now, we had these guys way back in episode 1. It's episode 14 now. And secretly, I think this is one of the better tops in the around Australia. Look at how good those Gorfitch Bears tops are.
The Gorfitch Bears, look at that.
Something about blue and gold that looks just amazing. But
Wednesday night's colours as well, mate.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, maybe there may be something there. There may be something there. Tell us about the Gorfitch Bears. Their season kicks off this weekend as well.
We're underway, ladies and gentlemen. Maxi Sentich and the gang, they're on the park this weekend. They're away to Westvale for the Masters, and on Friday night, the Divi 2 team, they take on North Sunshine away at Larissa Reserve. So there's an opportunity on a Friday night game to get out and give the Bears a great support if you're out there in the western suburbs. Kick-off, I believe, at 7:30. So, look, Tonchi, the guys, the photo you've put up there, that was an awards night that they had during the week.
Yeah, just recently, I think it was their Masters or something like that. Is that right?
Playing catch up. So, because COVID did what it did. The guys got together not only for a Guernsey presentation, but took the opportunity to recognise some of the efforts from players and people from last year. I believe Tommy Reslov took out the league or the club's best and fairest. So well done, Tommy. Good to see that Reslov's still all involved in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, while we're still in Victoria, Maxi Santich, who is involved with the Gorfitch Bears and is the coach there, but was also closely aligned with the St Albans Dinamo women's team in seasons gone by. We posed the question: why did were they relegated? Was the St Albans women relegated from State 1 to State 2? And he's mentioned that State 1 and up requires a reserve team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Dinamo were unable to field a reserve team this year. So hopefully the girls can earn promotion back to State 1 next year and also be able to attract more women to the team so that they can field a reserve team as well next year. But good luck to everyone starting their season this weekend. Not just the seniors, but I know the juniors are starting. The community juniors are starting their season this week as well throughout Victoria as well. So good luck to them.
Yeah, good on you. I'm sure they'll build on that, mate, and they'll get more numbers involved.
I'm sure they will. Up to the ACT we go.
Yeah, up to the ACT, Canberra Croatia women's team. They keep marching on, mate. Look, they're an unstoppable machine, and they after that 16-0 win the other week, their league gets back underway after the Easter rest, and they head off to Tuggeranong, and what will no doubt be cementing their top place, mate. Look, I really got to catch a opportunity to watch them play on the MPL TV channel. For years, I've been an admirer of what they've done with their women's program there, and I really like to see them in action and see how they're performing. I mean, the scores say one thing, but you want to see it yourself, you know.
Absolutely.
So well done to the women's team. The men's team had a whopping 8-0 win over Canberra Olympic, who seem to be a bit of the whipping boys this year. Canberra Olympic used to be quite a strong outfit, so something's gone awry there. But they head off to their next clash to face Monaro Panthers, temporarily sitting on top of the ladder, as there's some clubs that haven't played the two games just yet. So good luck to Canberra Croatia in their clash with Monaro. Over to our Connor Knights, who didn't play over the Easter break. They turned their attention onto Cooma Tigers this week, Tigers FC, as they are affectionately known as. And their women's team go away to Lanyon United, mate.
Awesome. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we return, we're going to cover the rest of Australia. There's Queensland, WA, South Australia and Tasmania. So much to get through. Don't go away, folks. You're tuning in to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. That's right, the Football Out West show is back this Sunday after taking somewhat of a break over Easter Sunday. Now, mate, on to New South Wales. We've got a lot happening in New South Wales.
Yeah, look, South Coast United had another washout on the weekend. They were supposed to take on Bulli, but it looks like the weather's not doing them any favours this time around. Look, hopefully the grounds can dry up in time for the round 9 clash. They still sit on bottom of the ladder, and United is up against Corrimal Rangers. So mid-table Corrimal, hopefully an opportunity there for our South Coast Croatia team to get the win. Hurstville Zagreb, another win for Zagreb. They're really impressing me the way they're going about their business. Look, the juniors probably had indifferent results, and they probably wanted to get a better outcome there. But against Parramatta, the senior boys, they now sit equal third. Actually, they're equal top, but they sit third because of their goal difference. And now this week, take on Prospect United from down near the Nepean River. So a great start to Zagreb, and well done to everyone involved. We had them on the show. It's probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago now, I think. Great to see the Gagro guys doing what they do and getting the performances right. Sydney United, unfortunately another loss, this time 3-0 to Sydney Olympic in their Sydney derby, and they slide down to 7th spot on the ladder, just losing some of their momentum and their focus. Look, they're a much better side than that ladder position would indicate, Tunch. And I have seen a couple of games of Sydney United play early on in the season. Very sharp, silky passing game that they've got. I know that when they play on their pitch, it's an artificial pitch, so it does allow them to do that. And maybe when they go to some of these other parks, it might just undo some of the work that they get get done over at in Denzel Park. But they're back this week with the local derby with Marconi away. So good luck to the guys as they come up against Marconi, and it will be a great challenge, a great spectacle, because there's one. We know when it's a local derby, even anywhere in Victoria and the games we've been to over the years, it just makes the players lift that little bit
does.
extra.
And form book always goes out the window, as they say.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Warrington, though, mate. Warrington's back in action. They kick off their year with their Masters team against Lowland Wanderers. And they're kicking off at the Bosna Club on Friday night. So if you're in and around the Sydney western suburbs on Friday night and you want to get some good entertainment, catch up with some old mates, get yourself out to Luddenham and to the Bosna Club by 7:30 and watch the guys have a kickabout. Further up north, though, Taunchi, Newcastle, Croatia, they will look to make it 2 from 2 with their away clash against Curry.
We love. It's a real good news story, isn't it? Newcastle, Croatia, and their first game of the season, first game after, what was it, 20-odd years? Was a win. Yeah, 28 years was a win. So let's hope that the Novocastrians, isn't that what they call them? The Novocastrians, they can get up and make it 2 from 2. But we wish them all the best. Now, mate, your home state, is that right? We can call it your home state now, Queensland.
I've spent all my time here now, mate. So, Gold Coast, Croatia, they had their first loss of the year. This time to their old foe, Peninsula Power, 1-0. Look, they're holding third spot, but they'll need to just steady up again against with their Sunday home match coming up against Eastern Suburbs. Eastern Suburbs is one of those clubs, Taunch. It's a bit like a park the bus kind of a club. Yeah. Like they are not renowned for adventurous type of football. So if Scott McDonald, I saw the boys out training as I was leaving the ground tonight. I think Scotty McDonald would have to find some ways to unlock a very resolute type of midfield and defence to get the goods over Eastern Suburbs. I'm sure they can do it. 3 p.m. kickoff on a Sunday, classic time. So get out there for the locals and support the guys. The Brisbane Knights, they also had a break over Easter, mate. Mid-table at the moment. They're at home to lowly AC Carina, so we'd expect the Brisbane Knights to get the 3 points there, mate.
Yeah, then moving over to WA, and by the way, that ladder doesn't actually reflect that latest result. A lot of the time we get these ladders from, the federations and the state federations, and sometimes the results aren't updated. We can't do anything about that. But
there is a big chat thing that goes around here in Queensland at the moment. There's not a lot of people happy with the referees departments and updating of scores. Right? Yeah, there is. It's a big issue.
It's universal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moving over to WA, first up with Guelph, Croatia.
Yeah, Guelph, Croatia. Bottom place Knights had another loss to Inglewood this time around, 2-0. This week the challenge doesn't get any tougher. But as I said a little bit earlier in the show, in respects to Melbourne Knights women, if you're ever going to turn around form, go and play the best, because that's your chance to step up and see how close you can get to them. They're taking on top spot Floreat Athena away. So good luck to Guelph, Croatia. Show some fight and spirit. Make yourselves resolute and hard to beat, and who knows, you might be able to jag one of those goals and seal the 3 points and come back home and sing the song proudly. Their women's team, they had their first match, a 0-0 draw with Mandurah, and they head out to Southwest Phoenix to try and get their first win of the season.
Now, Guelph might not be doing too well in the NPL competition there, but in State 1, Western Knights are doing a very, very good job. Tell us more, Josip.
Yeah, look, they sit second on 9 points. They've got a game in hand. So, everything they're doing right at the minute, they're collecting 3 points per game. That's exactly what a coach and a fan wants. This week's result, though, it was a likening to indoor soccer results with a 5-3 win over Murdoch Uni.
Yeah.
So it would have been from a spectator's perspective. If you were a neutral, you'd be excited to see that many goals. I mean, you don't see some AFL games can't get those many goals, so it's good to see. No. It sets them up for their next clash on the 30th. So I was trying to find where their next Australia Cup fixture is, but it hasn't been updated. Mm-hmm. So I'm hazarding a guess that they're going to have a cup round this week.
If anyone knows, if anyone's on the chat at the moment, pop it in the chat there and let us know when is Western Knights, when are the Western Knights having their next Australia Cup fixture. Yeah. There are so many fixtures happening at the moment, Josip, that it sometimes is really hard to keep a track of everything, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And look, I understand Australia Cup ones, they probably wait for who's going to actually host and at what time, so they don't plug it into the last minute. But more importantly, aside from the Australia Cup match that they've got coming their way, on the 30th, they go away and face the old enemy, Dianella White Eagles. So no doubt the local faithful in Western Australia and the Perth surrounds will be out there supporting the guys loud and proud.
Let's go Western Knights.
Yeah.
On to South Australia.
South Australia, Adelaide, Croatia. No match last week with Easter, but this week they go to 10th place Fulham United and trying to climb their way further up higher on the ladder, currently sitting on 4th spot. So good luck, Raiders. And then we head over to the Apple Isle. Glenorchy Knights, speaking of Australia Cup action, had a 3-0 win in the Cup, and they progressed further to the quarterfinals of their local cup, which is known as the Locosteljac Cup. On Saturday, the top placed Knights, they're off to Launceston City. They're home to Launceston City at 4:30 p.m. at KGV. And their Women's Cup match was postponed, so their focus turns to South Hobart this week at home on Sunday at 12:30.
Great to see the Glenorchy Knights on top of their NPL Tasmania division or their league. At the moment, I think it's the only Croatian team on top, although the ACT might have something to say about that. So it's good to see the Croatian teams or the Croatian team doing well down on the Apple Isle. Mate, that pretty much brings us to the end of the Australian Croatian scene. We're going to take a very, very quick break. When we return, we're going to then look at the Croatian scene. Geez, a lot happening over there, as we mentioned in the intro. But,
it's tight and tense.
It is. Let's get to it after the break. Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. And speaking of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, the Geelong Region Soccer Show is back on Monday. And on Monday, the very, very special club in focus are our very own North Geelong Warriors. So there'll be someone there from the senior men's team and the senior women's team. And they will be there both to tell us all the latest. And hopefully after the weekend, as we just saw with Josip's news desk, they will win both their games, and we'll have something to talk about on Monday night on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Now, mate, it's all systems are talking about what is going to happen on this Thursday morning, 3 a.m. Yeah, and as we can see footage, no, that is not a match. That is a training session. That was early overnight training session. Hajduk split something like 2,500 fans, got together at the training ground. Amazing scenes there. But Dinamo Zagreb, no pressure, absolutely no pressure. But look, Dinamo Zagreb, the consummate professionals, they've been in more hostile, I think, environments, so they'll be ready for a big game. It's basically the do or die. It's pretty much, that's it. You got to, if Hajduk doesn't take all 3 points, you can pretty much say, forget it, isn't it? It's I
agree.
Dinamo will take the championship. You can pretty much write it off, and that's that.
Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it too, mate. Even though Osijek will only be, let's say, a game and a half away from them with another 5 to go, I just don't see where they're going to be able to bridge that gap. So, unless Hajduk can make things interesting and keep things tight and narrow at that point, the end of the ladder, it's just going to be, I think, get ready to hand it over.
Well, with 5 rounds to go, there's the 31st round. Dinamo defeated Istra 3-0. Hajduk defeated Gorica 1-0. It was a close one there. Šimunić did defeat Slaven Belupo 2-1. But there's still, the Šimunić fans are calling for Coach Dejan Računica's head, even though they won at home. Osijek had a hard-fought but ultimately successful game against Hrvatski Dragovoljac, 2-1 winners to keep them in the hunt for the elusive championship. But Lokomotiva probably put an end to Rijeka's chances there. And after 31 rounds, with obviously the Dinamo Hajduk game to come on Thursday morning, Josip, as you said, Osijek now at the moment 2 points behind Dinamo and a much inferior goal difference as well. Dinamo, if they lose, well, things will be really interesting. Hajduk will be on 62 points, still 4 points behind Dinamo, but it could come down to the last game of the season when Dinamo takes on Hajduk at the Maksimir in round 36. And, well, look, if Osijek keep winning their games, Dinamo keep winning their games, it could come down, like I said, to the very, very last game of the season, where if Hajduk were to win, Osijek could jump. Anything's possible. Yeah. It's certainly one of the most closest PRVA HNL campaigns in recent years, yeah.
At this point of the year, it's great to see the contest alive and well.
Yeah, absolutely. Here are the games coming up, not counting the Thursday morning game, Hrvatski Dragovoljac against Šibenik, Istra coming up against Lokomotiva, Rijeka and Osijek, this is a big one. Do or die game for Osijek. If they drop points here, forget it. Rijeka needs to win this because it's the top three, Josip, in Croatia that then that qualify for Euro competitions next season. So and that means a big payday for a lot of these clubs. So
it is.
Rijeka, if we go back to the ladder, Rijeka at the moment is 4 points behind Hajduk, and Hajduk has a game in hand. So they cannot afford to lose this game. It's going to be a big, not just a grudge match, but for Rijeka, they're playing for their lives here. So too are Osijek. That's the match of the round, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Then we've got Monday morning, Slaven Belupo and Hajduk. It's a tough one always in Koprivnica. Slaven,
and they are. They're just a tricky bugger, Slaven Belupo. Mm-hmm. But every couple of weeks they manage to do something just to rock the boat a little bit.
Yeah, and then Gorica taking on Dinamo Zagreb. That's the last game to complete round 32. If we move very, very quickly then to the Druga Liga, the second division, and this is as exciting as the first division. We'll be talking a little bit about Rudeš later on in the show with our guests who are in the green room, the Melbourne Knights president PAVE JUSUP and the MiniRoos Co-Ordinator Steve VUKASOVIC. They'll be joining us very, very shortly. But Josip, look at that. Look how close it is at the top. It's a 2-horse race with only one team automatically promoted to next year's PRVA Liga.
Jeez, you wouldn't want to do an errant back pass or anything like that, would you? You'd be crucified by your players and the fans. Are just, it's tight, mate. And there's anyone that tries to tell me that promotion relegation isn't the way to run a sport, it's got to be kidding themselves, right? Even at the bottom end, okay, some of those spots like Opatia, okay, you're gone. But you go down from, Zmijavci or even from Dugopolje downwards, anything can still happen there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they can drop down into the separated tiers, down into what do they call that now? The Jugoistočna and Severna Zapadna, So it just tight and tense all around. There's pressure every single week, and every point matters.
Now, looking ahead to round 25, so there's only 6 more rounds to go of the second division. The big games there, obviously Varaždin at home to Osijek 2, Osijek's reserve team. So that's going to be happening, on Sunday morning, wee hours of Sunday morning. The other big game, obviously, is Rudeš, who are away to Opatia. Now, Opatia, the bottom team, they are really struggling at the moment. Unfortunately, not where they want to be. But then in round 26, mate, this is the big one. At Rudeš in Zagreb, Rudeš hosting Varaždin. So that is going to be the make or break game, assuming that both these teams end up winning their games in round 25. And dare I say, they're pretty much, they are expected to win those respective games. Varaždin to beat Osijek and Rudeš to defeat Opatia. So, should be an absolute perler coming up there. So the Druga Liga. Yeah. Now, turning our attention over the border and
we have a Croatian Premier.
We have. How good is that? And record-breaking.
Congratulations to Zrinski. Great to see them take out the title.
Yeah,
I think it's been expected for some weeks now, but good.
Yeah, and the chap down the bottom that they're throwing up in here, that's Zrinski's coach, Sergej Jakirovic. And he is rumoured to be a hot target for a Dinamo Zagreb for next year. And, why wouldn't he? Look, I mean, he has coached, I think, Gorica, if I'm not mistaken, in the Croatian league, or was it Inter Zaprešić? He's gone over to Zrinski, a record-breaking capture of the title there, 67 points. Tuzla City, their closest rival, on 46 points. It's just achieved so much.
Just the way that the team's gone about it. You've had the one loss for the year. You've only leaked 10 goals. It means you're taking in less than half a goal a game throughout your season. It's just incredible, and it's all right. It's not a glamour league of Europe, but it's a tough league to play in. It's a tough league to compete in. It's a tough league to stay in. So lots of credit deserved there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Maxi Santic has put in a comment there. Maxi says, what are your thoughts on Dinamo and Osijek having a second team in Druga Liga and not other clubs? Well, Rijeka never qualified. Hajduk pulled their team out because it was costing them too much. But I do believe, Josip, from next season that no club will be able to have a reserves team in the second division. So Dinamo and Osijek automatically will go. And then the second division, in fact, is going to be reduced from 16 to 12 clubs. So it's going to be a streamlined competition. It's going to be, and that, I think what that will do is probably concentrate the talent pool and make that second division even more qualitative than it has been in recent years. Because there has been a big gap between the second division and the first division. Look at Dragovoljac. They got promoted and immediately they've been relegated. Same thing happened to Varaždin. So I think that's a good move, personally. What are your thoughts?
Oh, look, my thoughts go around. I understand why they were initially concluded, because I don't think Croatian football will be where it's at unless we've had so many young players given the opportunity to play senior football. And I just listened to something about 15 minutes before the show, Tonch, from Josip Lončarić about Ralf Ragnick talking about that exact thing, having young players playing senior football who have all the technical proficiencies and the game smartness and the body to do it. And you just need a coach and a club with a strong philosophy and mindset that's going to back them. And I could see why that was done there. But now with all the affiliates being done and the league being redesigned, I don't think there's room for it. But I'd hate to see that the mindset shifts to just playing 28-plus-year-olds with 250 games under their belt all the time.
Yeah, it's a good point. How good was that interview 2 weeks ago with Josip Lončarić? A damn good interview, that. Actually, it wasn't. It was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago,
You can catch that full replay of that interview with Josip on our YouTube channel. And indeed, last week we had Steve Škornjak, and we seem to be talking a lot about youth development. We seem to be talking a lot about improving youth development here in Australia. And I guess with our next guests from Melbourne Knights, President PAVE JUSUP, and the MiniRoos Co-Ordinator Steve VUKASOVIC, we'll be talking about exactly that, won't we? And that's straight after the break.
What a great club to be speaking with about that very topic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Folks, don't go away. It's the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It is episode 14, and this week's episode's business sponsor is Your Business Insurance. And here's a couple of words from Your Business Insurance.
Are you one of those people that just pays their business insurance each year? Insurance is the last thing we want to worry about when running our business day to day, unless there is a claim that needs to be made, right? And once we have our insurance in place, we just keep renewing it. We just find it too hard to shop around. Does that sound like you? Well, at Your Business Insurance, we could save you money and get you a better deal. We'll review your current insurance and determine if you're getting the most favourable offers from the insurance market. Call Your Business Insurance on 1300 767 456.
Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's episode 14. And Josip, who are our guests coming on right now? Oh, we seem to have lost Josip. Hello, Josip, are you there? Folks, we seem to be having some sort of transmission problems with Josip. Hello, mate, you there? We might go to another little commercial break when we return. Hopefully we'll have better connection with the Gold Coast. Don't go away, folks.
Well, we've got
Oh, they had the gremlins attacking us for a while, but we're back. Josip, how are you?
I was sucked into a vortex there, mate. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry about
mate,
that.
you're back. It's
No
good to
worries.
have you back.
Look,
And
I
it's
was,
time
I
for our
was trying to
guest now.
say. I was trying to say that we have a couple of special guests from Melbourne Knights, and we, like you said, we have had a lot of undertones about youth development and discussions about methods and approaches to youth football. And Melbourne Knights is synonymous with that over the years. We've seen what the club has done to players that have come through their ranks and moved on into AIS and national selections and play internationally with fantastic careers. So we have the opportunity to speak with club president PAVE JUSUP and junior MiniRoos Co-Ordinator Steve VUKASOVIC. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Hey, gentlemen, how are we?
Thanks, Josip. Archie. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello, PAVE. How are you, Steve? Josip.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on the show tonight. I guess good. Thank you very much, mate. I just wanted to, I guess, quickly, how are you feeling about the year so far, PAVE, with the Knights seniors, and how it's all going? Has got yourselves to mid-table, a little bit of breathing, easier breathing this week?
Yeah, look, I think the big plus for this season, as opposed to seasons in the past, is we've started to beat the teams. In the past few years, we've gotten up against the so-called big team, Avondale, Oakley, etc., but then faltered against the teams that you should be beating. If you look at the table, Lions 3-0, Hume City 3-0, Dandy City 5-0, fourth last Heidelberg we lost 4-0, which is really disappointing of all the results. But the games we should have won, we've won. Against Avondale, we didn't do more than what we got in that game. South likewise, and they're up the top for a reason. So beating the teams that you should beat, should be fine.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully the guys can give some inspired performances to the juniors, and this is what we wanted to have a chat with you guys about here tonight. We've seen that you've had a visit from Josip Šimunić and Petar Krpan over the last couple of weeks, and they've come around to Sydney as well and had some chats with some coaches up that way. After the visit, what have you taken on board from the fine gentlemen?
So the reason for their visit was to begin with, to open a dialogue with clubs in Australia, the way wings, for them to glean some insight on the environment where we and how we do things and where we can improve, and likewise them giving us some tips and ideas and access to information that they kind of have. We had a meeting obviously in Melbourne with all the Croatian clubs in Melbourne that have juniors. Likewise in Sydney was on the line. Melbourne was Adelaide and North Perth and Guelph and Tasmania. And likewise in Sydney they had pretty much, I think, every club in New South Wales and ACT. Yeah, look, they were quite interested in see how we operate as a club, because who we are, but they don't know the inner workings of, how many teams you have, what division they play in, the structure of the club. Yeah. So things from both sides that were exchanged that you led down the track.
Now, PAVE, I guess in the past, sorry, Josip, continue.
Go ahead, mate. Go ahead.
I was going to say, PAVE, in the past, there's been attempts to sort of make that Domovina and Diaspora, that bridge. With Josip Šimunić, who's an ex-Knights player, an ex-playing legend, but he's now going into coaching. When we had him on episode 2 of the Oz Cro Soccer Show, he really talked about nurturing talent, and he seems to be the perfect ambassador or perfect link man between the Domovina and Diaspora, particularly as far as football. Is that how the Nogometni Savez in Croatia perceives Josip, and is using him as that sort of conduit between the Croatian clubs in the Diaspora and Croatian football clubs in Croatia?
Yes, he probably his main role for coming here was just easy transition and introductions between the clubs, who he all knows basically, and the people he works with over there. A lot of the discussion was around juniors and opening up a pathway into Europe, where Joe's also involved, in the background with NK Rudeš, which are, I think, second in the second currently. And the Savez was, at, like you said, being able to open up some doors at junior clubs in Croatia for some of our more talented players throughout Australia. But I'll leave it to Steve to kind of explain a little bit more, and he's dealt with that side of things.
Yeah, so with obviously our existing relationship with Joe and my personal relationship with Joe, we obviously, if you want to call it, we've formed a program that's mutually exclusive to Melbourne Knights Juniors, where we'll have our directors potentially put a few names forward that they may recognise as potential talent to potentially travel overseas. Why is it mutually exclusive? It just means Melbourne Knights players will have the privilege, but what it does allow for is that we've obviously, committed to financially supporting our players making that transition over there should they be successful. So we think, it's a point of difference for our club. It's a point of difference for our juniors as well. And look, it's a life or an eye-opening experience for any player that wants to ply their trade. It doesn't always work out. Living abroad has its own sort of advantages and disadvantages. And to sort of have that experience, is quite beneficial for the kids at our club. You would have noticed that a couple of players that have played at some other Croatian clubs. Obviously, Josip Cholina was recently over at NK, which as was Marko Bulic, and I spoke to those two separately, and their experiences, they second to none. Just to sort of obviously wake up every day in that professional environment. Yes, Joe's a semi-professional. Mark was in a professional experience. What it's like in Europe, the coaching, and even the language barriers and the cultural barriers and things like that. So there's a lot of things there to combat when you think about that. But in terms of what we've done is obviously we've established this program. There's a few other things that we obviously need to work through, but it plays. So.
Yeah, that's an amazing outcome from what could potentially happen for some young players to find their way. in the immediate feedback from your faithful on the ground, have you received any feedback from parents, coaches, players themselves, possibly even?
Yeah, definitely. Look, all the feedback's been really positive. Obviously, you know, for a lot of young kids dream, you know, to play the sport they love, you know, in the best countries around the world, and look to play, you know, to play in Europe or in Croatia, be a dream come true for many of these kids, irrespective of whether it's, you know, Croatia or Italy or England, or it is. I think that connection that we have, obviously, with Joe in Croatia, with a lot of our kids still at Melbourne Knights being of a Croatian background, it gives them that opportunity or something to aspire to. When Joe was out here the other week, he obviously spoke to all of our kids, and the kids asked questions, and there's some great, right? And there's a lot of learnings there. So, and Joe made it pretty clear, and I think he made it pretty clear in your show, that it's not an easy transition for anyone, right? And that's where we sort of step in the club as well, I guess, as well, just to sort of say, look, you know, making that transition, if it was to eventuate, we'd be here to support you in some capacity. You know, there's a lot of risks you need to take, move abroad, right? So, again, you know, as I said, feedback was extremely positive. So from players, parents, and, you know, even from the clubs that I have friendships with as well, they've also said, like, you know, something like that is a point of difference, right? So hopefully, you know, we could attract some other kids, you know.
Just want to add to what Steve said.
Brilliant.
The other interesting part of the guys coming out here, having a look at training and the vibe that was around the place. I think we forget in Australia, because we're so far away from, you know, the center of soccer in the world, which is obviously Europe. We forget how big and global the game is, and we get stuck in where we are and what we're playing and who we're playing. And people really dream these days, like they used to. I want to go play in Europe, because it's a bridge very, very far, and it hasn't happened for a long time. And if this can give a spark on a young kid that wants to make it, because at the end of the day, you know, a club can only do so much. So there's cultural issues when it comes to, you know, PlayStation and other distractions and school and whatever else.
Yeah.
But if the visit and this partnership can provide a spark, where, you know, it's up to the player to make the difference in, you know, extra training and the extra commitment to go overseas. Well, I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, like, we've had a lot of players, young players, that have made Lukas Gorko, Niki Vladovic, young Bulic as well, on the show, and they've all talked about sacrifices and the sacrifices that they need to make. So having someone like Josip Šimunić and Petar Krpan here would have really inspired the young guns. But Steve, I want to ask you now, I mean, obviously this is a project that's just sort of in its infancy, and it's got to be looked at long term. But in the short term, have there been any tangible benefits for some of the coaches? Were they given some little words of insight from either Petar or Josip? And have they started incorporating that in some of the training sessions that they use at Knights?
Yeah, really great question. Obviously, you know, first observations as soon as we walked out onto the main pitch here at Knights Stadium, Petar took me by the shoulder and he said, you know, that they can't be doing one-on-ones like that. It's got to be in a more confined space. You know, I think it was a standard sort of under 10 sort of pitch, which is, I think, 30 by 40 meters, and the kids were playing one-on-one. So just that immediate sort of insight into, you know, how these kids should be coached.
Technical side of things.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
And the reasons behind
the big emphasis was on technical ability at that young age, from MiniRoos age. So you're looking at your under sevens right through to potentially your under 13s. They were actually impressed with our mini Knights programs, which I know some other clubs sort of run as well, which is sort of like a 3 to 6 year old program, which is great as an introduction to football. I said that your best coaches have got to be your junior setup, right? So your most experienced coaches have got to be developing the kids at that age, and from a technical standpoint as well. Look, you know, your body will mature. You know, in terms of, I guess, your speed and your agility and things like that, that all comes with growth as well, right? But you know, they were just some of the insights, you know, they were able to share with us immediately. I know because we've got such close links with Joe, etc. You know, we regularly speak with him, and you know, always sort of bounce some ideas off him, and you know, he's always a good sounding board for these sorts of things. So you know, we've got a slight advantage, but it's always good because some of the coaches will run it past the TD, and the TD will even come by me, and me with the role I play. It's just good that we can share this knowledge, so it's quite beneficial. So
excellent. Just to pinch a little bit from Pave's notes before about dreaming. Pave, you are probably the best person to in a position to talk about how academies tout themselves as to be the answer for a lot of solutions for young players, and then sell them the dream of going overseas for tours, which could cost the family somewhere upwards of $10,000 just for the young individual on the tour. And when you put it into reference with what you're trying to achieve here for your club and community, is in total contrast to that $10,000 per player and giving someone an opportunity to dream. How do you see that?
Before I get to that question, I just want to also add an interesting point arising from the visit. The Croatian Federation was equally as interested in our girls program, probably even more so. Because obviously Croatia's national women's team is not that great, and they're quite behind the eight ball in reference to the men's national team. So they wanted to see how things are done in Australia in that space and what we do and how we do it, because their women's or girls juniors aren't so great. So they were quite interested in that. Well, they were interested in the boys too, but they were a lot more interested in the girls than what I expected them to be, put it that way.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to basically catch up in world football terms so that they can put the Croatian women's national team on an equal footing with the men's. That's their kind of ultimate aim in the next decade. And so they're kind of going on fact-finding missions around the world to glean what they can in that space and basically turbocharge it so they can catch up with the rest of the world. And obviously Australia is in the top 5, correct me if I'm wrong. So they've come to the right place. And obviously they've been to America, I think, about a month ago, Canada also. So these so-called progressive Western democracies where women's sport has was kind of pushed and promoted a lot in traditional societies. So they're quite interested in that. But as I was saying, what I wanted to say about these academies, look, academies sometimes have a place. I was speaking to a player we were looking at bringing to Australia about 6 months ago from Croatia, and he plays in the second division over there. And he didn't end up coming because he just got a government grant from the government over there, and he's a soccer-specific psychologist. So he's currently a player, 23, 24 years old, and his job, he works for Dinamo Zagreb. His job is to psychologically prepare players for a transfer overseas. Then you look at, for example, Nikola Vlašić as an example. Blanka Vlašić's brother, his dad is the Croatia's top athletics coach. And if you read interviews about Joško Vlašić talking about his son, that was his project. He worked his whole life, essentially, from when he was a kid, prepared him to become a professional player. If there was academies here doing that seriously and earnestly, they'd have a place. But really, for a lot of it is, former players that don't want to work a normal job like the rest of us and want to earn a living, which is legitimate. But the part where it's not legitimate is where they sell a dream that is unrealistic. And like you said, they take people on a tour. And if that was presented, we're going on a holiday, you're going to play some soccer on the side, and it's fine. There'll be people that want to pay for that, and that's all good. But there is unscrupulous characters within that area, and I know that the FFA, we've been speaking to them for a while about it, they're not sure how to tackle it and curb it because it is a free country, and there is restriction of trade kind of issues around it. But I wouldn't recommend anyone to go to that unless it was a one-on-one specific training for a specific purpose, and you found the right person that will tell you honestly whether your kid's got a chance or not, and not just you say, yeah, and take the money, and who cares? So, look, academies have a place, a limited place, and a limited purpose, and they can be helpful to help it along. But the world over, the tried and true environment is club, and even better if you can stay with a club from beginning to end, because it obviously fosters loyalty, mutual loyalty, club to player, player to club, and obviously a lot of good things can flow from that.
Just on the women's, thanks for that, Marva. Sorry, just on the women's note before, and did the guys share with you whether or not there's a concerted effort back in Croatia within the women's leagues, and how they want to go about that?
Yeah, so they've put in a massive investment in the last 3 or 4 years, basically since the World Cup. That influx of money that came in, I think they said they spent 100 million kuna last year on infrastructure for women's sport. So 15 million euros for the year. They've now paid, or they've obviously they had a women's national league. They've got now under 15s, 17s, 19s, seniors, where all the travel for the players is paid for by the federation. So when they say Nick plays against Osijek, the whole club travels as a group by bus, and it's paid for. And they're trying to do everything they can to identify these players and encourage them. Look, a lot of it is we've got our own cultural things when it comes to soccer. They've got the same thing in Croatia. So that sometimes you get some talented players that end up wanting to continue on. And so that's when they kind of step in and try and convince the family that it's beneficial. But they've also instituted a selection process for the women's as the men's, or the boys. So it goes from your club, you get sent to your county, and from your county you go to your region, and from your region you go to the national one. So it goes, I think, from 1,000 players down to 80, and then the last 80 get selected into the final 20, which makes up your first national team, which is under 15s. And that's how they kind of look at them. And they've got obviously the 13s and 14s, which is basically their talent ID camps, where they kind of keep tabs on players. And like some of the stuff that they've got is phenomenal. Like they've got basically reports on every player, where it'll have a photo, height, weight, attributes, notes from coaches. They're currently working on an app that's basically all coaches in Croatia that coach kids at the county level. So like the instructors, as they're called, are able to upload information about a certain player, whether it's a video, scouting report, or whatever that may be, in real time, and then that lets the higher ups kind of track how they're going. So they've got the obviously the old in coaching, down pat, but they've also embracing a lot of this new technology and using what they can with big data to make sure that their main aim is to make sure that we don't let any player slip through. And which is a perfect example where they probably could have had someone that of that quality if they were doing this 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
PAVE, having access to this type of cooperation, collaboration is obviously invaluable, and just opening our eyes to the way professional clubs and countries do it in Europe. And it takes, obviously someone to grab the bull by the horns and do it. So kudos to the Knights for doing this. But, there's obviously a vacuum there that needs to be filled and can be filled by a club like the Knights. With the National Second Division and the proposed National Second Division launching, will that accelerate this type of program, for the Knights in your eyes? Because then it gives the Knights a bit more of a profile, nationally speaking, here in Australia?
Absolutely, it will. I think if you look at the Australian national youth teams in the last, say, 15 years, there was a period where to be selected for a national Australian youth team, you have to be playing for an A-League academy, like at the time. So a lot of our players were locked out. That's thankfully gone. But, you look at the teams that we had in the NSL, and a lot of these players that even just became standard NSL players. If they were playing for us now, they probably wouldn't make it to the A-League, because we didn't have a shot window to put them into, to give them a chance to step up to the level that you're playing in. So, basically we're playing in the NPL now, and the best we can hope for is is one step above that, which is getting a player from here to the A-League. Whereas before, when you're at the top division, the best you could hope for was getting out of Australia. So we've taken a step back. It is what it is, but with the second division, definitely that shop window is just as important as getting these things that Steve said right in relation to coaching, structure, professionalism, and all those things. So having that ability to put a player on the market in a sense is just as important as all these other things. They're all kind of interlinked and interrelated.
Yeah, very good. And just on the B League there, PAVE, how are you feeling about the way it's progressing and the Knights' position within that? Is that you're comfortable with the way it's going ahead?
Look, I'm comfortable. I think people would agree. We're playing now in the NPL, and kako bi rekao, smetamo, to Dinamo, to Dandy, to North Geelong, because we're in the same competition. We need to be out of this competition and kind of get the how can I say, the order of things back in a manner that kind of is useful to everyone. Where we can grab players from the lower divisions, we can also push players back down to help whoever needs to be helped. And our position is we want to get the community back behind us, and the only way we can do that is to offer them something that's different. Right now there's no reason for someone from Dandy to make the drive down to Summer Street when they got Dandy right next to them, and that's it's a club that they've probably been with for 30 years, as long as they've been with the Knights. It's totally normal and legitimate. But in the long run, it hurts us because I went to Sydney 2 weeks ago with the guys from the Sabres, and Sydney's got one big club, Sydney United, and that's it. And that's why Sydney United's at the top of the table every year, because all the people, all the finances, all the passion, all the will goes towards one project. And in Melbourne, that's obviously not the case. And it's you wouldn't have North Geelong winning the Victorian Premier League in '92 had it not been the case. You wouldn't have probably had David Savinsky. You wouldn't have had Adrian Savinsky, Steve Horvat, etc. Bogdan Bonk come through the Pondiaks from Dinamo, Pelican, and the Rayheads from Dandy, etc. So we've got advantages and disadvantages. We just want to try and capture the best of our situation for the benefit of our club, our community at large, and for soccer. I think if we can get an answer as to a start date by the end of this year, I'd be very happy, and I think we will get that.
That has been a circulating question on social media in recent weeks. Yeah,
I think it'll happen. Look, James Johnson has basically delivered on everything he said. He's unbundled the A-League. He's done X, Y, and Z, and he's taken his time and he's slowly and meticulously, but he has done it. And I think I don't think it's anymore. I think they're serious, and I think the A-League is in some problems at the moment with crowds, and obviously COVID has had an effect, but has had a bigger effect on AFL and other big sports. So I think they need a bit of a lifeline and a something to generate some buzz. And I think the second division would definitely do that, even with promotion and relegation to begin with, because I think if we were linked later in the track, I'd be much more inclined to take any notice of what's happening there in the league. Right now, I don't even know who's playing. I don't know who's the top. I don't know who's the bottom. There's nothing to do.
Sometimes you don't even know the round the curve.
No. That is so true. That is so true. But one thing that there's a lot of interest in, Steve, obviously, is the community leagues and the junior leagues, the MiniRoos. They're starting their season this week. Finally, for the coaches, it's a chance to get the players excited about fair income games. But mate, behind the scenes, there must be so much that goes on. A lot of parents getting involved, the junior committee. Here's an opportunity just to give them out a bit of a shout out to everyone that's involved with the Melbourne Knights, the MiniRoos, the juniors, the community teams, etc., and wish them all the best for the coming season.
Yeah, definitely. You're total with our brilliant committee at the Knights. There aren't many of them. We name them on one hand, but we've got a lot of people that work really hard behind the scenes. Obviously, Susie Collick being our president. You got Ivan Kroll, Chris Hitson-Nuts. I don't want to forget anyone. I'm sure, but you know, the work these people do, Elliot as well, the work these people do behind the scenes, just cooking the barbecue during match day, you know, parents to how to register kids. But you know, as I said, it's not easy, and everyone would know, and I'm sure you guys know really well, being a volunteer, you know, at club at any sort of level requires work. You know, people do have jobs. Yeah. People have other commitments. So it's these people that, you know, that clubs, you know, require to continue. Essentially, what is still a vehicle in our community are our soccer clubs, right? It brings everyone together, and that's, you know, that's something that we're really proud of here at Melbourne Knights, that we've still been able to maintain that community feeling, but also produce, you know, some successful teams as well. And look, you know, it's not just all about the football. It's about the fun and meeting new people, and that's what we want our kids to experience at our club, and to obviously create lifelong friendships, right? Because that's what it's all about. That's how we all know each other, right, guys? So, you know, that's the most important aspect of it all. But yeah, it'll kick off this week, and it'll be a long year. It's already kicked off for a lot of the teams in the junior super leagues, that for those teams that took part in that. But we're really looking forward to it. So
awesome. Wishing you guys all the very best. And tomorrow, the big Australia Cup clash between Melbourne Knights and Bulleen. That's at Knights Stadium, and the kickoff there is, I think it's at 7:30 p.m. Is that right, gents?
Yep.
7:30 p.m. So we're urging all the Melbourne and Victorian Croatians, indeed, to come out in mass numbers and support that. Gents, thank you very much for joining us on tonight's Oz Cro Soccer Show. Wishing you all the very, very best for the short-term, medium-term, and long-term future.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Good stuff. That was PAVE JUSUP, the president of the Melbourne Knights, and Slug VUKASOVIC, Steve VUKASOVIC, the MiniRoos coordinator there, joining us. Great to talk to the most, as they say, Slavni club, Croatian club in Australia, most decorated club, and some really, really good things happening there behind the scenes. Josip.
Yeah, look, I wanted to stress that point too, that there's a little bit tongue-in-cheek of me with PAVE about the academies, because I know many club presidents of the past that they do great work, because they are out there teaching young kids. But unfortunately, there are the ones, as PAVE labelled them, unscrupulous, and I agree with him totally. There are ones that just want to put a price tag on a trip and label that as part of player development. And when you see a club like Melbourne Knights wanting to do what they're striving for, it's a breath of fresh air, and it gives people that hope, that dream. So when you don't have to sort of die wandering, you can reach out to the club you play for locally and start setting yourself up. And if you have the desire, the technical ability, and the drive.
Yeah. Yeah. But even with the A-League clubs, some of them have these pre-academy clubs, and, you know, you're paying money. Your kids that are 10, 11, 12-year-olds, you know, you're paying money. And a lot of, ultimately, what's going to happen there is the coaches are going to say to these players, oh, you're brilliant. Well, they're once again going to start feeding them all this type of a false sense of security. And further to that, like, I remember going to a sports convention, a sports administrators convention in Melbourne a few years back, and there was a chap there from one of the academies in England, one of the lesser-known academies in the Manchester area. And he said, look, there's about 90 to 100 academies, professional academies in England. Basically, every professional club has got an academy. And the staggering statistic is that less than 0.01, not 1%, but 0.01% of academy participants are actually one day going to make it to professional level. Now, that's in England. That's in UK, the home of soccer, so to speak. You know, can you imagine what you know, whether it's here in Australia or anywhere else? It's the numbers are even harder to get. So when you listen to people like you know, guys that we've had on our show that are, you know, trying to make it big in Croatia, or telling you about, you know, the sacrifices that they need to be made, and it's a lot of hard work. That's the first step in a long path to trying to make it as professionals. But it's great to have, I guess the seeds of some sort of a tangible program that's going to link both Croatia and the diaspora. And we keep saying it, Josip, unfortunately or fortunately, football is probably that one of those very, very few vehicles that is able to do so.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I'm just delighted for players and for Knights particularly that they're able to try something a little bit out of the box. We speak about the prices of things. Just to go and represent your state, the family's up for $1,000. That's before you travel. Yeah. And then if you go to the nationals, there's another 1,500-1,600 for the kid. Then on top of that, if you end up getting picked for, say, the Joeys, those boys probably charge upwards of $2,000 for their adventure up to North Australia, North Queensland last week. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Anyway, folks, that brings us pretty much to the end of our show. Been a riveting show tonight. Thank you to everyone that has joined us over the course of the evening, as all those people that have also put anything in there in the comments as well. John Bilosh makes a really good point. Not that simple and lots of different factors. Yeah, I agree, John. Next week, Josip, we're going to take a mid-season break. Well, I think a well-deserved mid-season break after 14 episodes on the trot, and we'll be back the week after. So, in fact, we'll be back on a Wednesday. But yeah, folks, probably a good time now to catch up on some of those missed episodes that we haven't. That you may have missed over the last 14 weeks. What's that? Almost 3.5, 4 months? Goodness.
Well, better yet, Tonch, why don't you subscribe to our show and for a little monthly subscription, you can get onto patreon.com/Oz Cro Soccer Show and you become a member of our show.
Absolutely. We're really, there we go. If you can't remember that, it's www.patreon.com/Oz Cro Soccer Show. Big shout out to one of our gold VIP members, Marko Maric, who's been there pretty much since the start of things. And if you're supporting what we're doing, we'd love for you to join us and show your support. Good night, folks. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Once again, Josip, congratulations on your 25th wedding anniversary.
Thanks, mate.
We've probably given you a little bit of time to get on the Zoom and say a
bit of FaceTime.
Hello to the Žena. Yeah, a bit of FaceTime to the Žena.
Good on you, mate. Yeah, lako noć, Tonch, and lako noć, viewers.
Good on you, and thank you once again, folks, for being a part of tonight's show. It has been a great show, episode 14 of the Oz Cro Soccer Show, and a big shout out to our business advertiser, Your Business Insurance. Good night, lako noć.
Are you one of those people that just pays their business insurance each year? Insurance is the last thing we want to worry about when running our business day to day, unless there is a claim that needs to be made, right? And once we have our insurance in place, we just keep renewing it. We just find it too hard to shop around. Does that sound like you? Well, at Your Business Insurance, we could save you money and get you a better deal. We'll review your current insurance and determine if you're getting the most favourable offers from the insurance market. Call Your Business Insurance on 1300 767 456.